everyone. Okay, this is the first time we are doing this, right? I'm not sure we got it right. I hope all of you can hear me and you hear me well. If you cannot hear me, just type something into the chat. I'm managing the chat myself. I have a group of folks with me here, my team. First time we are trying to do this. We believe that, or at least we think that holding a Zoom conference webinar may not be as exciting. Oh yes, thank you James, thank you everyone. What you see is the top, what you don't see is the bottom. Cannot show you everything. But thank you for joining, thank you for being here. I hope that the next almost 2 hours will be beneficial for all of you, and then the next 2 hours will be exciting. We brought together 4 exciting speakers, and each of them are going to share a specific area of their expertise within the emerging technologies that we put together. And actually, it's part of it in line with our launch of the Smart Technologies Lab, a joint collaboration with the Singapore Polytechnic. And my folks, please stop talking and using your signal side because they're very distracting. Okay, you know what I mean. They're all around me, and we're actually in a very small place. It's actually at my house, and then trying to make this thing possible. I have standby really 4 speakers, and each of them, like I say, are experts in their own rights in specific technologies. We're going to cover 4 of them today. One on autonomous technologies and automation robotics. The second speaker will come in and talk through on Internet of Things, sensors and actuators. Our third speakers will come in and discuss about the difference between artificial intelligence, machine learning and deep learning. And this speaker is unique in that he's calling all the way from Ukraine. Our fourth speaker actually has a unique experience in immersive technologies. And in fact, because of him, I could then show you one of the interesting part whereby he could do something like this. I can't do it, and then something else appear on his hand, like a hologram. And his name is Ender Jiang from Hyperlab. And then last but not least, at the end of the show, I will introduce the acting senior director from business and creatives, and as well as the director of media arts and design from Singapore Polytechnic, Ms. Tan Yan Yan. She's the reason why all this is possible, because we are doing a joint collaboration with them. I can see all you typing and typing, so okay, while you're looking at me, I can tell you that I have a screen here, another monitor here. Everything is going on all at the same time, all right? So I could see everything that's going on while getting a bit distracted. But I have put together that group of speakers, really, like what I say, and maybe instead of trying to talk through so much, I'm going to bring on my first speaker for today. Right? My first speaker, his name is Mr. Wallace Tay. Wallace, the Regional Sales Director, Logistics Solutions for SSI Schaefer. Wallace has been a good friend in the industry for, let me see, Wallace, are we for more than 20 years? I think we are more than 20 years. Let me do this because Wallace cannot hear me. Yeah, definitely more than 20 years. Let me now bring Wallace online, because we're going to go through Zoom, and this is the creative part of what we're trying to do. While we're streaming to you on YouTube, we brought in Zoom on another end. In the future shows, I explain to you all what I'm going to try to do with all this. Okay, let's bring Wallace on board now. Hey Wallace, can you hear me?
Good afternoon, all. Yes, Paul. Hi.
Okay,
audience, can you all hear Wallace talking? Just say yes. Can you all hear?
Yes. Hi. Hello. Good afternoon. Good day.
Okay, I think they can hear. Oh yes. Okay, Jian just tell me can hear. That's very good. Okay, so Wallace coming from SSI Schaefer is SSI Schaefer, you know, is a very established company in doing automation. But we know within the automation setup, these folks are definitely also involved in robotics. But then robotics, autonomous technologies, automation, they're all different. So let me maybe get Wallace. Wallace, why don't you introduce a bit of yourself first to the audience, then they know who you are actually.
Hi, everyone. Well, thanks of course, for this invitation and the opportunity to be part of this forum. I'm truly thrilled when I receive your invite, Paul, and how you named this webinar, Demystifying Smart Technologies, to start off with. I think if I read this, the topic is, I think it's clear. Simplicity and clarity is, I think, what we need today to drive our continuous learning. It is the same in Schaefer. It's the same for me because I've been in this industry for about 30 years now. A little bit of me, I started off in the late 80s or early 90s selling the first ASRS system in Singapore. You know, it was very exciting and people talk so much about it. Government is pushing so hard. And then having some years in doing that businesses, and I moved from automation to conventional. I joined the company dealing with forklift. This is a leading forklift player in the market. You probably heard about this German company called Linde. 100 and over types of forklift. So from automation to I would say the conventional material handling. Then I was back in Singapore doing regional sales, for the Asia Pacific region with the same company. And then I decided, hey, okay, know enough of conventional, let's move back to automation. So I joined, again, another company with automation, what I'm doing today, exactly like Schaefer doing in the intralogistic solution providing. But prior to that, actually, after joining the previous the third company that I'm in, I decided, hey, maybe I should be a practitioner. I said, let's try to be a logistician, join the industry and become someone who truly practice logistics and understand and feel what they're talking about. And I joined the petrochemical industry. This company I joined is actually Katunasi, if you know, Belgium based. And there I stayed there for 10 years, imagine, as a practitioner. My playground is, I think a lot of you may not have the chance to go in there, is Jurong Island. So I was there for a good 10 years, learned a lot. And today we talk about autonomous. Actually, I have the opportunity to lead a team to put the first heavy truck, I would say, if you understand a towhead or terminal trailer per se, the first autonomous truck to travel in Jurong Island between point A to point B, delivering petrochemical products. Okay, not that dangerous product. We're talking about polymers, plastic resins, right? From point A, from the production to the warehouse where the storage is. Now, actually, that project was very interesting. We went through that, and I thought, yeah, it's just a process base, right? We just want to take away the manpower, the drivers. At one point, we are running short of drivers in Singapore. We say we should put it driverless. So having put that on the so-called the plant running, then we realized that that truck, surprisingly, was first in Asia, not only in Singapore. So I think that makes our name quite. If you got a chance to see the news, it was in of course Channel 8 News, Channel 5 News, and very interesting. I have people calling me on the same day in US to say, "Hey Wallace, what have you done? Autonomous truck in Singapore." So this is how you know, news spread within a day. You know, the power of today, the virtual and the cyber environment. Anyway, so that I decided 10 years later, I say, hey, let's go back to where I belongs. And here I am. I'm with Schaefer today.
Sounds
right.
Sounds
so
good,
just
yeah, sounds interesting as well. So maybe Wallace, let me go into some of the key contents that we've been trying to cover, and also trying to help the audience differentiate. I know that people think that automation and robotics are the same, but I do beg to differ. So maybe I leave you as expert to explain, is there really a difference between automation and robotics?
A very interesting question, Paul. Maybe let me start off with automation. You know, automation means using computer software, right? Physical machines and other technology to carry out a specific task that would otherwise done by you and me, right? I mean, human being, human worker. And there are many different types of automation, ranging from fully mechanical to fully virtual, right, today, which is common, and very simple process to mind-blowing complex platform, all right, which we can talk a little bit later. Robotics, I mean, on the other hand, it's actually a very big tree. I use this analogy, a big tree with multiple branches. Now, these branches are none other than the engineering discipline to design, and then, of course, to piece them together and do a lot of programming software to define a certain action. All right. So, in essence, I mean, robotics is just a programmable machine to carry out a series of action autonomously or semi-autonomously. Now, of course, the robotics, you look at it, is they have other peripherals, right? I mean, we are talking about electronic sensors, actuators to help them to interact with the physical world, a world like you and me. Now, if you talk about whether there's any difference there, I think what I just mentioned over here, there are obviously an overlaps between these two contexts, but actually they're not the same, like what Paul you mentioned. Physical robots may use in automation, but many robots are created for automation, are not created for automation. So robotics is part of automation, that's what I can say. Now, let me give you some examples, probably to illustrate the difference between automation and robotics. For example, Paul, you and I think every month we struggle with our bills, right? So we need to call the bank and check our bills, for example. We call the bank, phone banking, and say, hey, and then of course the chatbot will reply and directs you whether you want a credit card inquiry, your bank balance inquiry, and things like that. And then you hold on, you press a selection that you want to, and you hold on for several minutes. Then they put you on hold. Then of course, obviously today, our patients are not that fantastic. We answer our patient and say, hey, let's leave a message and for them to call me back. Now, this example, there is automation, but no robotics. Okay. Now, another example, for a second example, I think today many of us we like to use what we call the can I mention brand name? Can, right? iBots, yeah, for cleaning, domestic.
Yeah. iRobot.
iRobot, going around your house, banging against walls, taking out dust and things like that, cleaning for you. All right. I mean, our wives will love it. But this is robotics, but no automation. Okay. So you can see the two differences. Now, on the other hand, the third one, which I think a lot of us look at YouTube's, look at some shows, and you realize, especially on the assembly line of a car factory, whereby you see, a naked car going through a production floor, right? And then you see there's many action that going in and out, punching, fixing components, for example, and many actions along the process. And this is automation that using robotics. All right, so you can see these three differences, right? One, of course, I'm talking about banking. It is involved automation, but no robotics. Second, in your home domestic, you have a bot running around. This is robotics, but no automation. Now, third, in the production line of a car, all right, it's an automation flow by using a lot of robotics to do repetitive so-called actions. Now, okay, so I hope this is a general phase, but let me put you in another perspective. I think a lot of us, we hear phrases automation and robotics, and it's usually used means industrial automation. Now, what is industrial automation? Industrial automation is what I just shared with you, the production line of a car, all right? So these are industrial automation, where you have weldings, you have putting fittings along the production line. It is a very high level of autonomy. Now, on the other hand, if you hear, hey, automation in general, what does that mean? It can be actually potentially mean referring to software automation. Now, software automation, as you and I know, it developed a task within or in a computer basis. Some, maybe I name three that we often hear about. I don't know whether a lot of us hear about this business process automation. We call it BPA for short, right? It is a high-level approach strategy of companies, for example, to streamline certain business processes. And involve a lot of process within the so-called business and integrate using this automation software. But to do this, it means you have to restructure your business quite a fair bit. You put that aside. The second, of course, the RPA. I think a lot of us here, robotic process automation. What does that mean? I think a lot of manufacturing environment, they used to update, data. They hire a clerk, for example, start keying, taking out spreadsheet, keying and start to move titles and parameters, and then try to understand and so-called digest certain data. And all this inputting become very time consuming. Now, this RPA is where it helps. These are the structured digital data. If you have, you can turn that to let the computer do it for you automatically. So this is robotic process automation. No robots, just a process that we're talking about.
That's
yeah.
clear.
Then of course, last but not
continue, Wallace.
Yeah. So sorry. I mean, I think the last I just want to mention, but this is purely interesting on the software perspective, is the IPA, the intelligent process automation. That can actually automate without any judgmental kind of basis on unstructured digital data source. So yeah, I mean, but coming back on the robotics per se, I think one thing I like to highlight on the context over here, robotics, you see the arm moving back and forth, right? But the key component, the critical part, is actually what we call the EOT, the end of arm tooling. All right, the arm can move, but action must do something. If that action, that so-called arm, for example, it could be a laser, could be a picker, could be a suction. If that arm is not there, it doesn't carry out any task. So that is not robotics anymore. So in just to sum up the question that you raised, Paul, I think many automation system will not even have a robot as part of the solution, honestly speaking. But alternatively, some system maybe have a basic and consisting one robot that is mounted on the camera doing the job. That is also part of so-called an industrial automation perspective, if you want to put it that way. So I think robots is just a tool within the industrial equipment and to integrate together to form a fully automated system. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, you did. There's some depth in there, which I think some of the folks may get a bit confused. But don't get confused, folks. Don't get confused. We are still looking at how.
Sorry.
It's okay. How companies can improve, especially when it comes to whether it's automation or deploying robotics. And we know that there's this thing called automated guided vehicles, where many people use because it's guided. It's supposed to be cheaper. And in the recent years, or in the recent months, or should be years, right? That people have come up with this thing called autonomous mobile robots. I am sure that you saw I'm trying to explain and say what's the difference between these two of them. And my question really is not that we actually know there's a difference. One running on guided, not really very much autonomous in nature, but still does its work in carrying things from point to point. But my concern, and especially many adopters' concern, could be this: what kind of budget and cost structure are you looking at, or should folks like us be looking at when we want to go into robotics, automation, autonomous technologies?
Okay, I mean, okay, this is a very interesting subject. I can talk until tomorrow. But in essence, of course, AMR. No, just kidding. Now, AMR, I think it is a technology that a lot of adopters, because when we talk about, maybe I want to rephrase, I usually, as an intra-logistics service provider, I ask certain questions when people want to go to AMR. First question is that, hey, look, to begin with, do you have a operation that is repetitive, for example? All right. And of course, a little bit more detail is forms, shapes, and products that you want to bring from left and right, from one point to the other. Then, of course, the customer will ask how much it costs. Is it AGV? Is it a better solution, or AMR is the better solution? Now, AMR, I would say that it is highly autonomous. Adaptability is fantastic. Scalability is also fantastic as compared to AGV. Yeah, I'm saying. Now, why do I say this? AGV, as we all are very familiar with, we want to set up AGV. You first and foremost, the infrastructure needs to change quite a fair bit, right? And then the so-called navigation control has to pay a lot of attention. And you and I, Paul, the early days, we say wire guided, dig the floor, hack the cement, put the cable there, and then let it run. AMR, you don't have to do this. AMR is highly adaptable. But let me say, scalability wise, all you need is your warehouse environment, have a map, making sure that the point A to point B, and then you bring this product from this area to that area, point A to point B in that context. And you do not have to have all these infrastructure set up or pre-set up, for example. As and when you want to change, you just go to the computer, make some changes, and then that's it, you know. So that's why I say AMR is highly adaptable and scalable. Now, of course, in terms of cost-wise, comparatively with AGV, it's a lot cheaper, right? When we talk about scalability, for example, today, because of a throughput requirement, you only require about 2 units of AMR running. Tomorrow, as your business grow and expand and realize a throughput requires a lot more, and you have to have a lot more movement between point A and point B, then you buy more AMRs, and then you incorporate that, and then you adapt to the environment again. That's why I meant the adaptability and scalability is fantastic. Now, the other point that is worth considering is that today AMR, they can be highly independent, all right? You program from point A to point B, and that's about it. But in the intra-logistic world, the essence of it is you can manage to have the AMR communicate with a manufacturing line. That will be the beautiful formulation of the entire solution. And that is why I asked just now a question, how much is it? My question is, what do you want? What do you need? Do you need just to bring products from A to B? Then, of course, a simple AMR will do. But you want the AMR to help you in the manufacturing environment, then, of course, the next layer of investment will be deferred. Yeah.
Of course. So we are coming out to running out of time, actually, really. I saw a question coming up from the folks on the YouTube. And the question is really more about are folks in this industry or companies in this industry like yourself, you don't, okay, the question goes this way, many sectors do not take in people above 50 years old. Many good programs impart skills and knowledge, but even after such training, this group of people will never get the job. So I'm going to phrase this question in such a way and say is that, would SSI Schaefer explore taking on, I call myself also the seniors, to work in this new phase of selling automation, autonomous technologies, and robotics? Hey, you're one of them, huh? You cannot laugh. You're also one of those older folks.
Yeah. That's why I'm laughing. That's why I'm laughing. I'm also a senior, yeah.
Okay, you got a few minutes to answer this question.
Okay, I mean, honestly speaking, to us, Schaefer, I think, well, as long as an individual are always open for new knowledge, because honestly speaking, to be honest with you, you and I mean, we came a long way from automation. I think technology have evolved and changed. Yes, we are always welcome people who are willing to learn with us and grow with us. I mean, I'm talking about myself. Sometimes for me to learn new things, it can be a little bit difficult. But as long as you are open to learn and with the company, obviously we welcome with open arms. Right? But I think the mindset is important, right? I think as we grow older, I think Paul, don't know whether you and I agree, we have certain mindset. But in our industry today, our mindset must be very open and broad. We cannot be seconded to what we think we are. If not, it is unfortunately to say that it's quite difficult sometimes to blend into an organization who are in this direction. I hope I answered the question.
I wanted to say, I don't have a mindset. I'm just stubborn.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Chan Kok Hua says, I thought age is just a number, so say the government. I mean, yeah, everybody say that, right? I mean, I look like I'm 20 years old, but I'm actually 56. No? Okay.
Same. I want to believe that way too.
Okay. Wallace, we've got 1 minute. Share a bit about SSI Schaefer inroads into robotics.
Well, okay. I mean, to be honest with you, I think Schaefer in Singapore, we are 35 years. Have been since 35 years we are here. The company itself is 85 years. And we are still a privately run company, let's say this way. And because of this reason, and because of the new norm today that you and I are exposed to, meaning to say we are very upbeat with the future, especially on robotics automation, to help company or people like us, or all of you and company, to how to expand and innovate within a certain operation. I mean, honestly speaking, it is a continuous effort that we're driving. Robotics is definitely one of our so-called solution-based, if the customer needs require that, right? And hence, I think, I mean, we continue to use technology and to make a difference, not only for ourselves, for people, you, the workers, customer, and serving partners. Right.
I muted myself. Thank you, Wallace. Thank you for your support. Appreciate your time spent with us. I'm going to let you go and then continue with our next speaker.
Stay connected. Thank you.
Take care, man.
Okay, folks, that was our first speaker for the day. Like what I say, it's a new thing. We learned to switch between online Zoom and then broadcast via YouTube. Something that I hope I could bring to every one of you as well. So most of us have some things to share, like Wallace. Most of us are part of an ecosystem. Does not matter where you are, doesn't mean it's the top, doesn't mean, I mean, we have the top, the middle, the bottom. My work is to bring everything together. So those of you who are watching, I have 190 of you. I thought I should have more, 300 people signing up. But over a period of time, I'm hoping that we can run a lot more of these shows. Bring some of you folks to join me for dialogues. If you can't travel because of COVID or whatever, we could then do it over Zoom. If you can, we'll hold it over at our lab, the Smart Technologies Lab, which will come out at around 3:30, where we'll share more of what we're trying to do there. But now let me go and get my second speaker on board with me. My second speaker is Jonathan. Jonathan, where are you? Let me see first. I'm going to bring Jonathan in. Jonathan actually is the managing director of Unibiz. He has been involved in the telcos industry for the longest time and very much involved in the growth, or at least he see the evolution of Internet of Things in Singapore. And being a specialist, Jonathan can bring a new perspective to what this is all about. You hold on. Jonathan is online. Let me talk to Jonathan now. Okay. Hello, Jonathan.
Hello, Jonathan.
Hi, Paul. Yes.
Hi, can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Wait,
Yes,
am I
loud and
muted?
clear.
I can't hear you, Jonathan.
You can't hear me? Oh. I should be in nicely. Can you hear me? You can't.
I can't hear you, so something is wrong.
Is it
On your
okay?
side, you want to unplug your headset. Maybe it's your headset. You can hear me, right? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Give me one.
Jonathan, can you hear me?
Hello, can you hear? Oh, something is wrong.
Hold on, folks. I'm going to correct this. Jonathan, can you hear me?
Can you hear me well now?
Okay, we're okay with Wallace. So I can't hear you, Jonathan.
Okay, give me one. Okay, how about now?
Hey, we can't go live. We cannot hear him. Jonathan, can you on your video? Can you on your audio?
I already on my audio. Unplug everything. Let me try again.
Oh, I can hear you already.
Oh,
Sorry,
now?
it's me.
Can you
It's
hear me?
not you. Yeah. So I
Huh?
suppose the folks can hear, right? Y'all can hear, is it? Okay. Oh, it's my fault. My headphone went silent. Anyway, online world, online world and live stuff. Oh, perspiring all over. Okay, then right.
Planning for a while.
Yeah. But then maybe ask you maybe share a bit about yourself first, Jonathan, so that the folks can know who you are.
All right. Hi, I'm Jonathan. I'm the managing director of Unibis. Unibis is a IoT company. So from the day we start, unlike the previous Wallace, who is a 80 years old company, we're only a 4-year-old company. We're still very young, right? But in the last 4 years, we are very fortunate to be and blessed to be growing quite a lot. And this year, our revenue is something like almost 19 US million dollars revenue. And next year is even set to be growing, and we are profitable. Due to this growth in IoT and also in the capability of the team, right? We have about 60 people based in Singapore and Taiwan. And from the day we start, we've been focusing on IoT. We focus on a few things. We focus mainly on the network and on the sensor part IoT. All right. I'll explain a little bit later what does that mean. All right. So we also be working quite a lot with Paul and to also see how we can bring greater adoption of digitalization and technology to the supply chain industry.
Thank you, Jonathan. Maybe my first question or the first direct question is, I think we all think we know. I don't think we all know in clarity. So how would you define Internet of Things?
All right. We are all familiar with internet, and we all access the internet using PC, laptops, and mobile phone. All right, and for the purpose of educate information, for the purpose of entertainment and gossip and whatsoever it may be. All right, and it's for contacting humans to humans. So IoT, as the term says, Internet of Things. So it's about connecting things, connecting machines to one another. All right, so in this, we are actually enabling the machines and the things and the sensors to be able to have a live or collecting data onto the network. So so unlike human, and the machine doesn't need to be in the team. The machine is there with the sensors to collect data, to bring them to the internet, so as to do something for us. All right. So it all have one thing in common. So in other words, it's about sensor collecting information from the real physical world and bringing them through the network, all right, internet, onto the system. And from then on into the cyber world, the cloud itself can then process the information. And from the processing information, it can then go on to do some useful tasks for us, all right? So it is very simple in that aspect, yeah. So when people are talking about how IoT can go into millions and billions and trillions of devices, is because they see that how the internet grow. Once you connect human to human on the internet, all right, it scales. And there's just about 5 to 6 or billion people, but there are like trillions of devices, all right, trillions of things up there. All right, so but once you connect them, there's great possibility that machines can do things for us.
So be the critical components for an IoT to be an IoT.
For an IoT to be IoT. Right. So if you look at human, we have 5 sensors and your hands and leg, right? So IoT predominantly, if you look at it, it's actually somewhat similar, all right? It's like there are actually 4 items, right? So first item is the sensor itself. Because we're talking about what is the purpose of IoT, is to collect data from physical world and bring them to the cyber world. So you need sensors. So, and the sensors are out there deployed onto the field. So it depends on what you want to measure. Let's say you want to measure simple things like, oh, you want to count the number of people out there. Or you want to measure what is the temperature and humidity of the room so that you can control it. Or maybe the sensor is to measure what is the location of the device. All right, so you have the sensor. And the sensor is not just collecting information. The sensor have a comms module in there. It's able to transmit this data over the internet. All right. So we have sensors, number one. Then the second important thing is the network itself. So the network is from a very critical part of the IoT because it's the transport layer that brings the data from sensors onto the cyber world. So, and from the internet, from the network, it brings up to a platform. Normally, the platform is where there's a software, the cloud, to collect all this information, process them, and package them nicely. And lastly, you have the software, the application. And that's where you have the analytics, you have the AI, you have the dashboarding, or you have the action to be processed and to be done. So it's actually these 4 areas: sensors, network, platform, and software. All right. Easy, man. Business coming. Right. So 4 areas.
Okay,
it's also, I think, some understanding that IoT is more pervasive in the consumer world than in the business world. So the question I have is this: are IoT pervasively used or adopted in the business operating environment today?
Oh yes, indeed. All right. If not, I'll be out of business. It is definitely growing. So so IoT actually get on the term get a little bit only get to know the industry maybe 4 to 5 years back, maybe 5 years, and people are just beginning then. And in the 5 years back, people are asking, hey, what is IoT? What does it do? Is there any use case? Where can it be deployed? And then the year later, people okay, how can I deploy this? Can I try some POC? Then the government also is very supportive, and we have a lot of tech challenges, innovation department, and so forth, trying to see how we can deploy. And when we see that actually right now, the IoT have reached a stage of increasing maturity, and is increasingly being deployed on a massive scale in the industry. So for us, just one company, just a guess, do you know how many IoT devices are we in the process of connecting? All right, on this network, we are looking about over 1 million devices, of which 500,000 is really active, all right, and live, and it's really set to grow more and more years to come. So a lot of enterprises and businesses in various sectors is seeing how they can exploit IoT in the real business world in order to bring about a business change, in order to bring about digitalization and transformation in the business. So it is really moving very fast, and right now it is but yet at the same time, we also see at the same time there's still many other companies, they're still wondering what is IoT, how to explore. So people are still coming to us asking very basic questions. So we see that there's actually tremendous amount of opportunity, all right, for companies to really come on stream.
That sounds really good. So
I want to ask you another question, right? So maybe in these particular instances that you say that there are users, could you share some of the use case and then maybe the benefits that it brings?
Sure. All right, there are predominantly 3 areas. IoT is very vast, so I won't say I'm going to tell you all the use case. I'm going to maybe share 3 broad sector that we have done a lot. The first broad sector I would say is asset management. All right, for many enterprises and you have lots of digital and machinery assets out there, and you need to manage them. So one of the biggest stuff that we have done is in the area of metering, water and gas metering, and you have to measure the data. So you extend that to many other stuff. When you have other machines and you want to measure the reading of the machines and so forth. The old ways is you send a guy out there to record, right? And then, oh, okay, good, then write down. But oftentimes, you know that it's not going to be accurate, and getting human resources tough, and many times it's not even practical because they are in remote area or they are in very hard to reach area. So very simple thing is, why don't you put a tiny sensor in there to be able to collect information? And the sensors need to have a few things. It need to be simple to deploy. It need to be lightweight. It need to have it need to have a right cost effectiveness so that the sensor can last running without, doesn't need any long cabling and instruction and so you need it to be the battery need to last a long time so that you can, once you deploy, you can forget about it and you know that you run by itself. All right, so we have sensors that even last up to even 7, 8, 10 or even up to 15 years, all right, or battery life. So we have in this aspect, we have deployed in a lot of metals, in a lot of industrial projects in factories to be able to collect data from the machines, all right, either water reading, electrical reading, gas readings, as well as some machinery reading. So that's one broad scope. The second one, which we have a lot of traction, is in the area of asset tracking, knowing where they are, right? Knowing where they are. And we have done, for example, recently, we just concluded a first pilot phase of project with Singapore Airlines, and they set together under the umbrella of IMDA. Singapore Airlines, they have about 20,000 of those boxes called the ULD, unit load devices. So there's a box whereby you put in all your luggage and they ship around the world. All right, so in all the factory, in all the airlines, in all the airports. And believe it or not, current process is manually track where they are, and then key in the pen and paper and then send it Excel spreadsheet. And that means that oftentimes devices is lost, they don't know where they are, and then it is better to track. And then in order to keep a high uptime, one way is that you have to put in a lot more assets out there so that there's a lot of spares. So in case you lost or in case you don't switch over, there's a lot of spare machine items in there. So we actually help them. So as I call out for innovation, to say, hey, is there any technology out there that's able to help them do a global tracking, any parts of in any airports of the world, on the network that is low cost and effective, easy deploying, that doesn't cost them a huge amount of BOM, and it's on the system that doesn't require to install too many or any infrastructure in all the customers in all the other airports of the world. All right, because so that'll be very tough, right? And on top of it, most importantly, the sensors need to have a very long battery life of at least 3 years. All right, so that you can put in there and you can more or less forget about it. You don't need to worry about changing battery, which is going to be expensive and a crazy process. So in this innovation, 35 companies bid for it with also various solutions all around the world, not just Singapore company. And we are fortunate to be chosen, all right, because as I married that, the solution that we propose, which is on the 0G Sigfox network, all right, is very unique in so many ways. It's able to help them, and it's able to help them on this. So we spend about half a year helping them working out solutions, be able to detect the URDs indoor when they're inside a warehouse or in a partner's building, when it's outdoor at the airport tarmacs, all right, and also be able to see how to optimize the battery life so they can stretch it the most, and all of this is done in a very lightweight network, all right. Why I keep saying about lightweight? Why I keep talking about battery life? Of course, when you talk about IoT, you can put an iPhone 10 in there at the box, it will work. So you will definitely collect information and it works anywhere you will tell you the data, right? But how long can the iPhone last? Maybe 2 days. That's about it. And how much does it cost? Well, $2,000. All right. So it doesn't work. It's way too expensive. So you put in a device that costs less than $100 or even far less than that, and the device can last 3 years of collecting information. And we stretch it, and it doesn't need to be connected at all times. We probably send out messages 4 times a day. That's good enough. So it doesn't keep sending information, right? So that is.
Sounds good. Okay. Jonathan, I skipped one question to one of the viewers, Edward. Edward Lau is actually a friend I used to know in TNT, and Edward asked this question: please elaborate on the cyber security that's implemented to protect the users from hacking, for users against system hack and total outage You know what I mean, right? So Internet of Things very hackable. We know that it was last week because there was a news on people's webcam being invaded for porno site.
Oh yes. All right. So there's no system is going to be foolproof. If the U.S. defense can be hacked, of course, internet can be hacked. But the thing is you have to look at it. Security. It's important to see how to balance between security as well as a feasibility and also is and cost and able to manage that risk. All right. So um, remember I thought it's sensors through network to platform and to the software. All right. So I won't talk about the network. I won't talk about the platform and on the software because that's a very common thing, right? Any other system in the cloud have the same stuff, right? So and those are typical IT systems in the cloud. So somebody asked, hey, well, is the cloud it's going to be, is it hackable because it's somewhere else? Cloud today have matured a lot more and cloud that's running on AWS, Amazon, Microsoft Azure, and so forth. In fact, although they may be remote, it's not right in your desktop. Doesn't mean that it's more dangerous. It's not actually. In fact, I would think it's even safer, right? Because unless you have a very strong, super duper IT cybersecurity team that manage your network and your servers, how do you know that your team, all right, that you have in-house is actually stronger than the Microsoft people and the Azure people and Amazon? Okay, those guys that manage your network and the data centers like in the cloud are pros, right? They are the best paid people and they are the best company in the world. And they are able to manage the network and on the cloud and data center in tip-top security. So and most companies are actually moving towards the cloud, including many governments and including companies that is very paranoid. A lot of them are actually moving under the cloud because that is actually even safer. All right. I'm not saying there is no risk, all right, because you're trusting someone else to do it. Someone feel it's safer always to do yourself, but it doesn't mean it is always the case. I move on to then I move on to the sensor part. The network that we deploy is on the 0G Sigfox network, which is not a typical, if I forgive my lingo, TCP/IP Internet Cloud Protocol, right? So it is on a proprietary RF signal, all right? It's not. So it is not something that's so easy to hack. For example, let me explain to you why. Let's say you look at data that is put on the internet. Oftentimes, when we talk about people hacking the servers and so on, you're talking about it happening at the server and the website and so forth. Have you ever heard of people? Have you ever heard about people hacking and changing your data between your phone and on the internet over the RF signal network? Hardly ever, right? Because there's an RF network, and nobody actually thought about hacking the RF network. They can at best jam it by stopping it, but nobody hack it because it's in RF. It's not on internet protocol. It's actually almost impossible to even do hacking there. So that's that. Then finally I come into the sensors. Yes, we know about these CCTV camera got hacked and so forth. It's because CCTV cameras and so forth. Actually, you look at it from IT standpoint, it's actually such an obvious problem because CCTV cameras are actually a tiny little computer, very powerful, but yet at the same time, it is not well protected with all the best antivirus. So you actually, in other words, you're having thousands of little computers out there without strong antivirus. So it is actually quite easy for it to be hacked. Whereas IoT are not many of these. Most of the IT system, they use very lightweight devices. For example, the sensors that we put in, we're looking for collecting information. And these devices actually do not have much of an OS in it. And it doesn't even have the normal TCP/IP protocol. And the data sent are all very tiny little bits of just sensor data information. So in fact, it is a lot more safer because it is so simple and so lightweight. All right. So of course, but if you want to do IoT system that require complex sensors, then yes, there are certain element of risk in that. But of course, it means that it's very important to put in the right security measure in there. And people are warming up to it because, and for many industrial application, the right kind of thing, encryption, data authentication, and all the stuff are built in. Whereas if you talk about CCTV, many of it are low-end home stuff. That's why it is not well protected. Yeah.
Edward, I hope that answer your questions. But Jonathan, we're running out of time, so okay. I got one minute for you to do a a blip on who is Unibis.
Okay. All right. Unibis, we are a network operator as well as a device IoT sensor company. So as of now, we are actually doing so much on the network and on the devices. Right now, in our factory, today as we speak, every month about 60 to 70,000 devices ship out of factory every month, all right, to be deployed in all the various applications. All right, and it's in the area of asset management, as I mentioned. It's in the area of asset tracking, especially now if we talk about supply chain world, people need very lightweight devices to be able to track. I haven't got a time just now to mention, we are also doing a project right now in Australia, tracking about 100,000 beer cats around Australia as they ship from the brewery to the bars, the restaurant, the warehouse, and so that the companies is able to do supply chain management and able to know how to optimize the inventory and also how to do quick restocking when things are not done properly. Thirdly, I also mentioned in the supply chain area, the important part is also on facility management. All right. Just last week, another company just called us. They said they got lots of warehouse around Asia, and yet they don't have a proper system to be able to manage the condition of the temperature, humidity in the environment. So that because they need that because of the kind of asset they are holding. All right. So we show them solution that we have, and they were saying, wow. And the exact word to me is, wow, I've been looking for a year. This is what you're offering is exactly what I need. All right. So it is coming on stream, and people are beginning to understand that doing IoT is a lot more cost effective and faster to be instead of putting human to be able to do manual checking and so forth. Yeah. So we are able to help you to deploy solutions on IoT. Do speak to us. All right. And if you are also a solution provider, you're doing IoT software, analytics, and so forth, dashboarding, do speak to us because we are able to support you on the network and on the device front.
Thank you, Jonathan. Take care.
Thank you, Paul.
Man, thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, folks, that was Jonathan. Jonathan basically is specialist in the Internet of Things. Jonathan, under Unibis, their solutions are also displayed as Smart Technologies Lab. If you are already recognizing a trend, every single one of them who are being interviewed today have their display at our new, those of you who know me, I used to have this thing called Innovation Playground. So we moved to a smaller space and we call it the Smart Technologies Lab. My third speaker actually is all the way from Ukraine, and coming from Ukraine, he can't bring COVID with him. Just joking. Actually laughing to myself. Yeah. So he can't bring COVID with him, but at least from Ukraine, he's a specialist in building up what we call data bricks. I don't really understand technology. I just know that you don't need sophisticated coding. Someone will be asking, do you need engineering background for all this? I didn't answer you only because that should fall under Anton. Anton, like I say, being such a specialist, he brings with him a very unique knowledge of being a data scientist. So let me bring Anton on board, right? Hello, Anton. Can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly, loud and clear. I am sure the folks also can hear you. You're actually now online on YouTube. I hope you're not watching YouTube at the same time because we are about 7 seconds lagging, right? And then you'll feel very awkward. But welcome. What time is it now in UK?
But I've been watching. It is 9 a.m.
Oh, good morning. We are coming to the night. Our day is ending soon. Okay, maybe a quick one. I share a little bit about yourself, but I share a little bit about you. Maybe you share a little bit about yourself to the audience who are now watching us on YouTube Live.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Anton Weisberg. I'm CEO and co-founder of low-code data science platform called Batrix. My previous background includes driving like large 30+ people data science consulting team responsible for EMEA region in like IT consulting company, and previously I've been working in fintech and in banking space, also in analytics for tier 1 bank.
Okay, so Anton, I'm just going to jump straight into the question. Is there a difference between what people know as AI, artificial intelligence, ML, machine learning, and then DL. I want to say DL is distance learning, but no, deep learning. So is there a difference between these three acronyms that is constantly being bombarding the world today?
Yeah, so first of all, like these three are all like the buzzword concepts we are hearing from all the time, right? And yes, there is a difference, and you can treat it like as AI, then ML, and then deep learning. So what is AI? We can think about this as, it's very broad term. We can think about this as a like area of computer science, enabling machines or computers to replicate or act as a human, generally. Machine learning, or ML, which we're talking about, is a subset of techniques and algorithms which uses statistical learning to leverage from historical information. For example, you can say that to predict the weather for the next winter, you can have some information from previous winter, such as temperature, pressure, and so on, and make some kind of conclusion. So like leveraging some kind of historical data is a core for machine learning. And even like narrowing it down to deep learning, it is a subset of techniques based on specific filtering algorithms and using some like neuron-like schemas called deep neural networks. There are a few types of them, but it's like basically it's a set of algorithms using with large amounts of data to produce like better results.
So are there use cases of like, okay, so let's say we take the differences. What are the use cases that you can share, especially in the business environment?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. First of all, I want to share like that like it is a common fear that like AI will beat the humanity. Like it is named like general artificial intelligence, right? And it's not going to happen in the nearest future because we are still not there in terms of like computational power, and like we are still pretty bad in multitasking. Though at the same time, we are pretty good as a humanity in single tasking, so like narrowed artificial intelligence. And you can use some example of this as like self-driving cars, or like using the Amazon Alexa or like Siri. So these are good examples of like AI stuff, narrowed artificial intelligence implemented in our life, or like natural like understanding of the language. So this is all the examples. So in terms of machine learning, it is everywhere. For example, when you're coming to McDonald's and you're receiving your double cheeseburger, there is an algorithm which predicts the demand for this double cheeseburger. So you don't need to wait in the queue for the double cheeseburgers, and they are pre-made for you. Or like using like watching Netflix, you can have some recommendations. It uses recommender engine, which is based on machine learning. So there are plenty of business implementations for logistics. It's like, and for basically e-commerce space, it could be inventory management based on the demand forecasting. It could be next product recommendation, and there are so many stuff of this. For deep learning algorithms, there are also some business applications, mostly based on like computer vision or like analysis of the video, so that like detection of the particular faces, recognition of the like some activity suspicious through the cameras and so on. This is all is done through deep learning algorithms.
Okay, so someone did say, someone was trying to figure out still the difference between ML and DL, but let's jump that one for a while. I want to ask you this question, and then seriously, it's also from my side, learning what Datrix is. Do we need to be a programming genius to be able to adopt solutions that embed either ML or AI kind of applications?
You know, like to the like last year's the answer would be maybe yes. Like not the genius, but you need to know programming. The like doing machine learning is based on 3 pillars. You need to be like domain expert, you need to know the data which you're working with and what you want to achieve. It's a crucial thing. The second thing is knowing the mathematics behind this, so the algorithm, what you're going to apply, how do you want to predict or split this data. And third one is the ability to program this into something which works, right? And maybe like zero pillar is the common sense how to interpret the results you receive. But still, like these three pillars are pretty important. Recently, like there is an era when some cognitive services appeared, right? So, for example, you can do like image labeling through like GCP functionality. You just pass in the image and analyze it, and you're receiving the labels. Or the same thing for like forecasting stuff. So this is really helpful in terms of being able not to code everything by yourself, but having some ready parts or using some pre-made algorithms or pre-built models for this. And second pillar of this is the era of this data science platforms, which allowing you to basically create data science stuff, not being a data scientist. Because in real-time solutions, if you can see the full flow, actually the machine learning part and modeling part is pretty small. To make it real business, like you need to find the right data, you need to gather this data, you need to actually apply some algorithm, which is ML, but you need to pre-process the data. Then you need to make the results like somehow saved or passed into the real scenarios, build your machine learning as a part of the business process. And you need somebody to approve this and to make it stable. So this is a whole process. And usually it is failed because of the complexity of the full process, not because of the fail of the pure ML. So there is things like cognitive services and machine learning platforms or data science platforms, which are helping to avoid at least the majority of this stuff. So you don't need to be a hands-on coder right now. You can do the majority of things through the so-called user interface.
Hey, Anton, could you advise the audience who is listening, is it costly to, actually maybe two questions here, right? How do we acquire the skills to be a very good data analyst? And then for the company side, is it costly to adopt solutions for their setup?
Yeah, so there are two pretty different questions. Like first one, how to acquire the skills. Yeah, like either you have there are maybe two different ways. If you have already basic programming skills, then you need just to understand how machine learning stuff is different. I'm sure it will be much easier for you. And I would recommend to start from Angie course on Coursera, which is really great. It explains the basics and the background of like introduction to machine learning, so you understand at least what is the algorithm, what is the difference between supervised learning and unsupervised learning, different families of algorithms. If you're a non-programmer, the best thing is to understand why do you need this. Do you need to solve very particular problems, or you want to switch your like career to the full data analysis stuff? If you want to switch your career, you still need to learn a lot. You need to watch like videos, some courses, and do some basic programming if you want to be a professional like scientist. So if you want to solve very particular problems in your domain, there is a thing you can try, the platforms which are available where the algorithms are implemented. It's kind of a playground which will help you to deploy your solutions. You don't need to do it by yourself. You need to understand what are the key metrics, how do you can measure the success of this of what you're doing, and this is it. Like basically the good thing is to become the domain expert in something and try to understand what is applicable for your particular cases, and like be narrow, not going like too wide. Well, this would be the advice. In terms of cost, I think like the cost is constantly decreasing, right? Like if you ask me this 5-6 years ago, people were more talking about machine learning than implementing this, because it was a complex process, and like infrastructure and frameworks were not standardized. You need a lot of people to make it a part of business process. So it was really huge. Now, as I told, like the platforms and the cognitive services allows like analysts to do this stuff, and that allows not involving like 10 people at the time to implement the solution in production. So that the cost reduced significantly, I would say, in the last few years. And it is like becoming machine learning and deep learning stuff becoming a commodity, not like something which is, oh, great, you've implemented machine learning. No, it's like a regular thing which you're seeing, which is a competitive advantage for the businesses to win.
Hey, coach. Anton, running out of time, let me ask you one last question. Maybe tell us more about what Datrix is all about.
Yeah, so Datrix is a low-code data science platform and analytical platform for analysts and scientists and like non-programmers to create machine learning models and operate these models without need to be like a good programmer, without need to actually write a single line of code, and you can do it really within an hour, within hours. So basically, no installation or like coding required. You're working in the browser, and platform core is drag and drop brick. So basically, you just drag and drop what you need, and the platform creates the sequence of the activities you need to have a good model or like good solution by itself. So, for example, you can solve demand forecasting or credit scoring problem within the platform, like just uploading your data and having the results as an API is already created for you.
Thank you, Anton. I know that there is a big second or third wave in Europe, so you better take care. And then when the time is right, look forward to have you back in Asia and in Singapore.
Hope to see you in person soon.
Take care, man.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, man. So, folks, the speaker, I know some of you getting tired. Okay, so that was a tough one. AI, ML, DL. It's not easy to explain. I know there are questions coming and says that what are we learning? What kind of technologies? Where to find them? There are many courses around. But to me, at a certain age, for us to go back to learn coding, learn Python coding may not be the right way to go. Learning applications like this could be it, but I may be wrong. I'm just an observer of the industry, right? But let me bring in the last speaker that I have, which to me actually is one of the more exciting ones, because this last speaker is going to share with us the use of immersive technologies. Immersive technologies, if you understand it, is actually called AR, VR, or mixed reality. AR is augmented, VR is virtual, and then mixed reality. His name is Ender Jiang. Ender is the founder and CEO of a company called Hyver Lab. I've been working with him for a number of years already. In my lab, I do have displays displays that he has created on these technologies. If you are interested to find out more, but before we go and find out more, let's welcome Ender on stage, right? Hello, Ender.
Hello, hi. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you loud and clear. My folks also can hear you loud and clear. Please don't watch YouTube. Let's do a live discussion between both of us on Zoom. I can tell you that my audience can see you, and it is really clear. You're coming out very, very clear. So, Ender, maybe just share a little bit about yourself first before we go into the Q&A.
All right. So my name is Ender from Hyver Lab. So basically, we are a local startup company focusing on immersive technology for the past 6 years. Sorry. So I've been always tech enablers of this industry. Yeah. So we are not that new. Sorry for that. So actually, for us, it's very good to understand that there's a lot of partners currently working on in this region to push a general industry evolutions, including like the digital twins and also like smart technologies, especially on supply chain industry. We do see a very potential of adoptions and also the growth. Thanks.
And do you know a guy by the name of Justin Long? He just said hello on YouTube.
Okay.
I relay the message to you. So, Enda, can you share your views on is there any much differences between augmented reality, virtual reality, and now people use the word MR, mixed reality. Could you just explain your views on the differences?
Okay, maybe to do this, maybe I just share my screen with another camera.
Sure.
Okay, can you see another camera?
Yes.
All right, good. Yeah, so I think for this project, it's very good because for us, I can just go straight to show some real demo. For augmented reality, basically, it's a device that which can allow you to easily composite 3D objects in the real environment. By the way, how to present information to go through a device like this, like tablet. Because augmented reality means all this content need to be composited within the device. So you can't really see it from your naked eyes, but also it's very effective because everything is composited from a very portable device. So that's really how do people use AR. I mean, well, if you look at virtual reality, VR is another technology which they have to depend on some device like HDM, it's a head-mount device. This device will allow you to put yourself into the immersive environment. So the audience is relatively isolated, but they actually have a lot more freedom because they have this kind of a controller. The controller can actually perform as a hand in virtual environment. So they actually can do a lot more complicated interactions like grabbing, so like operations, and also like holding stuff and moving objects. Because for AR, you can only use a touch on the device, and VR, you give this flexibility. When we look at the next stage of this immersive tech, MR actually come to our radar because MR basically combine the advantage of both technologies. MR device usually have a natural see-through lens, which means you can really observe it from naked eyes. Meanwhile, it's able to project augmented information directly into lens. So basically, you have this retina level of projection to combine immersive content into your eyes. And also, it will give you hands free. So you can use two hands with hands interaction to interact with the real 3D objects in the real life. So actually, MR for us is definitely like more advanced immersions compared with the VR and AR. That's why actually, in short, like for all these technologies, we definitely believe that AR and MR is actually considered two type of technology which have two ends. One is more like a fully automated, fully kind of like fully simulated. Another one is MR is more like combine both. It's making things more real and more accessible.
And are you doing a live hologram on your screen?
Yes, I'm doing that because this is actually running on our own program. It's called RealityCast. Actually, live augmented reality presentation platform, which I can use it for the live Zoom session. Of course, the actual bandwidth or simultaneously might depend on bandwidth, the network. But in general, we can be able to auto broadcast augmented reality through any like sessions, live sessions, broadcasting sessions.
This is interesting. So let me do this, right? Because I think a lot of us look at this and says that these kind of technologies are mainly for gamers. So beyond gaming, how do you see the use of these technologies in the business space?
Right. Okay. Actually, for us, very interestingly, like our company doesn't do games. We do a lot of industry solutions. If you look at the business applications, actually, there's a lot more things compared to entertainment. For example, you can easily use AR to actually visualize a 3D object in front of you. For example, if you want to present some like large scale object, which you can always bring your client to the site, like a whole sheet of the design. So actually you can use AR to actually easily visualize everything 3D because you have this augmented reality presentation. You actually can move around this whole object with a lot more freedom. So besides a large scale object, you can also use it for micro scale, small scale. For example, if you want to look at a single object, maybe it's a hard disk. So besides just showing the hard disk in front of the client, you actually can easily disassemble it. So basically, you just need to do this. So you can see that all the components would be separated. You can see through all these details. So especially when you look at the interactive presentations, there's a lot of products and a lot of 3D objects, which is very hard. You actually can use real physical object to do it, especially for today's challenge with all these remote kind of presentations, remote meetings happens. So you definitely want to make sure your client have the same level of even more engaging level experiences. So that's why I feel AR and VR in general, it can actually help you to communicate much better. So this is one of the key advantage. And besides this, actually our team actually have this spatial interest. On this topic, we call it the spatial data related topics. So in general, we can look at all device is getting a lot more advanced in the sense of the sensors. Your camera have a multiple camera. All these cameras actually help you to analyze your environment. So once you have this environment information, you can easily project information in the space. So imagine holding an iPad. Now iPad have a lidar. Now our Android also have this top kind of sensors. So you can use a mobile device to walk around in space, which all this information will be able to interact and be able to feed it simultaneously by understanding where you are, what are you looking at, even feeding live data. So one of the major topics actually our team believes in industry is about digital twin. So digital twin, one of the applications is called the data visualization. So if you imagine that using augmented reality, you can use a tablet, mobile device to actually look at any single products or any single live vending machines or even large scale of like warehouse or like supply chains, like conveyor belts. So actually can use AR to live stream data into the same object. Then meanwhile, by observing, you're able to identify the patterns, identify the changes, and also you can do like live diagnosis or even like some like on-site job trainings. Imagine your worker no longer need to refer to SOP. They actually can look at the real objects, real structures to understand what's wrong with it. Or you don't have to always check your dashboard. You have to check your control rooms. You actually have all this information right in front of you. So it can greatly save the time and make the whole automated process in maintenance and also the kind of like remote collaborations. Yeah, so this is actually the business application we believe that there's a great future.
Oh, and you should see the comments coming up. So cool, impressive. Somebody even call you Asian Iron Man. I can understand why they say that because this is so interesting. It's definitely very cool. Where can you learn? You cannot learn. And then is it expensive in the context of, you know, that our companies and SMEs, when it comes to adopting technologies for use, especially using immersive technologies to do, let's say, modeling or using immersive technologies to manage their operation. In your context, I mean, and the way you promote your solution, is it costly?
Okay. Yeah, I think for us, we work with quite a number of clients to apply this technology. So for example, I think early this year, we actually worked with the DB Schenker, the Red Line warehouse. Actually, we use AR to actually visualize the warehouse, which hasn't been built yet. So in the beginning, when you look at the empty warehouse, you can use the one iPad to walk around the whole warehouse to understand the structure that we're going to build in the future. So this process actually helped the team to understand the whole design process, the whole workflows, the whole actually kind of operations pipeline. So they actually are able to make a better decision by having their first person kind of experiences. And further down, definitely the technology can also help same company to further create more like digital twin level. So actually can use the same 3D assets and build on data visualization on top of it. So eventually it can be used for like the initial planning, and eventually for the maintenance. And also we work with A-Star ARTC. Actually, we create this full digital twin project for the model factory, which is also a manufacturing industry's application, which we use a series of 3D objects to actually help the user to understand how does machine works. Because for advanced manufacturing industries, people actually use a lot of sensors. They want to understand the performance. But meanwhile, they also try to do a lot of on-site maintenance. But without the digital process, they also feel that it's a little bit troublesome because they always have to guess. So I think one of the good things that we use augmented reality to create this digital twin, so they can always understand what actually is happening behind the machine, behind the screens. So I think this is one of the good applications for the case study we have done for clients. I think for us, what we have been pushing now is we're actually moving from purely service-based. Now we're moving a lot towards the product-based. So we actually are giving a different type of software as a solution to our end user. So all the softwares, including a Story Hive, which is used for virtual learning, immersive learning, and also the Hub is used for 3D collaborations, and also the Redcast is something you're seeing today. We are using Redcast to do a live AR broadcasting, AR presentation. As well as you're using another product called Expo, which can help users to easily build their own virtual tour. So all these products that we're offering is very like entry level of business model, which is just a few $100s per month. You can easily get a full package to build different type of immersive solutions by yourself. I think for us, it's really a good opportunity that we, during the past 6 months, our team has been working very hard to develop all this series of solutions to become enablers for technology. We hope this can really speed up adoptions of this immersive technology.
Thank you, Ender. I'm trying to say that I got one last question for you, which is, who is HyperLab? You did a bit of explanation of your solutions. Maybe you got any more things to add on who is HyperLab?
Oh yeah, so I think in short, we are actually a company has been around for 6 years, sorry. So we have been, yeah, being young is always good. I think for us, we work with hundreds of clients in the region with a very diverse sectors. In general speaking, they are always looking at the pushing industry evolutions together with us, and we did have a blessing to work with many clients, and also like getting a good supporting from influencers. I think that's pretty much where we are now. I think we definitely we're already moving to the regional business with a few Asia countries operations. We definitely look forward to do a further expanding. Our focus is for now is always immersive technology related topic.
Thank you, Ender. Thank you for your time. Appreciate your support, and definitely an interesting technologies that I'm sure the folks wants to learn more later.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
So folks, you seen it. I leave the best for last. I think this is okay. By the way, I didn't know he's going to do a live demonstration of his product and solutions. That was a wonderful one. In fact, I thought that was the best one, right? Anyway, folks like them, their solutions are actually being displayed in our Smart Technologies Lab, and I thought that maybe now is a good time for us to show you what we have put together. Let me introduce our Smart Technologies Lab of his product and like what you see. Let me go and introduce. Am I live? Am I live? Yeah. So I'm going to introduce my partner, our collaborator. For good, not for bad. Collaboration sometimes collaborators sounds like collaboration for crime. Her name is Miss Tan Yan Yan. She is the She's the she's the acting senior director for business and creatives. Maybe I'll ask her to share a bit more later. And at the same time, she also now is the director of the School of Media Arts and Design at Singapore Polytechnic. So let me bring Yan on board. Okay. Hello,
Hello,
Yan.
Yan.
Hello, everybody.
So everyone can see you live. I can see you, and at the same time I can see everyone live. And then let me see who is saying what. Okay, nobody's saying what. So let's talk. I talk a bit. I just show the folks on the YouTube the Smart Technologies Lab video that I showed you the last time. So maybe before I show them what we have signed, maybe chat a little bit why you allow us call Supply Chain Asia with this Smart Technologies Lab into the School of Business in Singapore Poly.
Sure, thanks a lot, Paul. Actually, when we were first discussing about the collaboration, I felt that this is a perfect opportunity for us to bring together the industry as well as the students. Really, we are talking about showcasing new technologies, curating a series of technologies that I think are very, very relevant to the industry now. And of course, Singapore Poly, being an institute of higher learning, our mandate is really to train young talent for the sector. And now even more so, we're looking at upskilling of adults as well. And I think for the supply chain sector, it's such a broad sector. And this sector itself needs a lot of technology innovation. And there are so many solutions that we can bring in for the industry partners. So our students will be able to benefit certainly from working with the projects, with our partners. And I think the industry can also come in to take a look at the amazing suite of solutions that we have curated. And I think we're really excited to work together on the learning journey for industry, for our students, for adult learners. And with this, we really hope to bring in this new digitalization technology mindset to our industry as well.
So for the folks online, maybe just a sharing on my end. When we approached Singapore Poly for this, they have this industry I think it's a co-locator program, right?
Yes.
So when we approached Singapore Poly, there was an objective inside. There was an ulterior motive, which was so wrong, right? There was an objective inside there in that the academic institutions host the ecosystem that creates what the business world today. They are training the young ones. But at the same time, they host the other part of the ecosystem. They host the knowledge base of some of your faculty members that you have. So in the discussion that we had with them, instead of calling it the Supply Chain Smart Technologies Lab, we should actually remove it. And we actually call the place Smart Technologies Lab for that particular purpose, that the technologies that we are showcasing can be applied beyond their supply chain. And then, of course, with the young students coming on board, and then, they have this thing called, they've got like acronyms in the polys, like FYP, final year project, and then there are attachment and internship programs. So in all those programs that we see, we actually see ourselves being a partner to even getting the students out into the real physical world, and then at the same time get involved in projects that has a consequence. The consequence could be something good being developed and then everyone benefit, or even if it didn't get developed, they actually have a learning in the failings part of it.
Yes. And I think for our students as well, the ability to have the opportunity and the privilege to work with industry, even as they are still studying in the Polytechnic, is something that we really value. And at the same time, we also have staff who are really industry practitioners themselves. But we need to really be able to continually work with industry to really figure out what are the newest technologies that the industry needs, so that when our students go to the industry, they are more than ready to contribute. In particularly just now when I was hearing some of the panelists speak, I was really pretty inspired by some of the solutions that were showcased. And these are exactly the kind of solutions that we would like our students to be exposed to, and in the capacity of being an intern, or when they do join the industry, they are able to bring some of this expertise into the industry as well.
Yeah, so for the audience listening, what we had just shown was just a segment of the technologies that we actually have at the Smart Technologies Lab. But maybe I'm going to show one thing because we're supposed to do a signing ceremony, but this is a pandemic world. So we did a virtual one. Actually, we signed already. I'm going to show the world the collaboration between me and between Supply Chain Asia and Singapore Poly. So this is what the world is, that we have formally signed off an agreement. I'm going to start with you all for the next 2 years. I'm not sure whether there's any divorce agreement inside there, but
there will be no divorce. It's going to be a very it's a win-win partnership on both sides, and we are really
yeah.
really excited to be able to come on board to partner you in this
Yeah.
initiative.
Thank you. I mean, I'm equally excited in that even while we were putting things together at the Smart Technologies Lab, we acronym it as STL in the last couple of months.
Yep.
There were teething issues which I don't think is difficult to overcome, but we are now ready. So I'm just announcing to the world that we are ready to host site visits. It's still not a public site visits. We are still constrained by the up to 5 people. If there are 10, we still divide them into 2 groups. Hopefully there's relaxations in the next couple of weeks where it'll be announced. Then we can start increasing the numbers coming to the Smart Technologies Lab. But as it stands today, it's because of this initiative that there is this live webcast. Okay, if not, this live webcast will never happen. And also because of this initiative, we actually learned to do broadcasting on our own. And guess what we have? We actually have one of your students who is actually our intern who produced the Smart Technologies Lab video. And so, I mean, it's already starting to show that we are working closely with the school to actually produce even contents like this, which we hope that we can continue to share with the world.
Actually, I see this collaboration as really building up the ecosystem. This ecosystem where we are linking the talent for the industry. We're also bringing in industry partners. And of course, Paul, yourself, you are the catalyst. And I really see that there are so many opportunities for the Polytechnic to be working with the industry in a win-win situation, whether it's through internships, through projects, through training. And I really look forward for us to really roll out a lot more of the programs. So if any of the industry partners out there are looking for students, for projects, project ideas that you're looking for young talent to give inputs, please come and visit us at the Spark Technology Lab. I think there's plenty of things that we can work on together.
Yes. Okay, so for the audience, I want to go and I'm going to do something that I didn't preempt Yen at all. Yen used to be the director of the School of Business. Today, she holds acting senior director, and her post has business and creatives, right? So Yen, for the sake of the world trying to figure out who is now Tan Yen in Singapore Poly, can you just share a little bit more? What is that portfolio called? Business and creatives. I thought business and creatives never come together.
You know, that's exactly the same question that I asked my principal. And, you know, initially when I was thinking about how does business and the creatives come together, it was quite a question mark for me. But as I come to know about what media, arts, and design is about, I see that when we're wanting to offer end-to-end solutions for companies, there is really now a convergence of the creative skills, the production side of things, the creative side of things, with the business part of things, which is the value creation. And also holistically, if we are able to offer a full end-to-end solution to work with companies, particularly SMEs who may not have that much resources to hire different people to come in to work on the project, I think this is a great opportunity, and to really bring in the left and right brain people for optimal solutioning.
I like the left and right because I think that's the reason why I got so crazy myself, because I think I got the left and the right. On one hand, like to be creative. On the other hand, like to be systematic, like to do the business part of it. You know, we still need to make the money part to sustain our environment. So
yes.
Yen, I'm looking forward to this partnership for the next 2 years. I believe we can bring it to give it a lot of value for the folks in the community. To us, the community is a wider business community and it extends beyond Singapore. And knowing that I'll be operating from your space, this live show will be going to your space. Hopefully we can run 1 to 2 months every month
Yes.
from next month onwards.
Yes, yes. I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm also really looking forward to be really hosting all your industry partners coming into SP. I think with phase 3 kicking in very soon, we really hope that we can bring in more of the industry and the community into our space.
Yeah, I'm going to get busy again. Oh, okay, Yen, thank you for your time. Appreciate this. You can say goodbye to the audience.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks a lot, Paul. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you. See you. Bye.
Okay, folks, that almost coming to the end of our show, right? We know it's challenging. We're not going to run 2-hour show after this. It's going to be less than an hour show from next month onwards. So just a preempt, on the 19th of November, I'm planning at least 1 or 2 this form of shows. Also after that it's recorded, so that instead of printing magazines and then magazine gets stacked and in the corner collecting dust, my plan is ultimately to create this platform so that I can constantly put out contents. But because the digital platform is so unique, it allows us to reach out to, in fact, this time around, the global world. We had the guy from Ukraine and we could do a call with him and talk. So the plan is also to invite regional and international speakers to join us on sessions like this. So I know many of you work for MNCs, multinationals, and I'm sure that some of you would like to get your guys from Europe, US, or for those in Asia, you know, your folks from Vietnam, your folks from China, Japan, Hong Kong to join us. So this is going to be the plan moving forward. Our next show on 19th of November, the supply chain code, is actually our show title, okay, called the supply chain code. There is nothing about the supply chain code. We are not developing any software. For one of them asking me, there's no, it's just the title of a show. The next show will be on the pandemic and its impact on food supply chain. We'll be inviting an expert to share his views, and he's definitely in food supply chain, in the logistics part of it. It's about building resilience and ensuring sustainability. For now, if you have any questions, please feel free, send your questions to this email listed down there. I'm not really a YouTuber, so but then I got subscribe here, subscribe there, so you can see all the subscribe button. If you really think that subscribing to our channel makes sense, do subscribe so that when we put up a new we put out new shows, you know that you get informed. We definitely will bring in what I call practical contents, right? If it's too high level, it doesn't make sense for us. If it's too low level, it does make sense, because the low level is really the operating part, the one that makes things happen. Thank you for all your kind words as well. It's been a really tough journey in the last 3-4 weeks trying to put this thing together. If you can see my folks sitting around me, which you can't see, you want to show your face? My folks sitting around me who helped me to put this show together. For now, thank you for your time. Have a good rest, have a good weekend, and then please do stay safe. We are still in COVID-19. Take care. Goodbye.